Welcome to another marvelous episode of CFB Nation, hosted by me, Lever KT, aka the Governor of College Football. Now listen, this is our spring game tour edition. CFB Nation is going on spring game tours. Our first stop was in Raleigh, North Carolina. I was there in person to see this marvelous spring game. And so in order for us to deliver the recap of the spring game, I got to at least let you know what I was looking at. The quarterback battle. Yes, for most people it's a two-way quarterback battle, but I think it's important that we include Ben Finley as well. Ben Finley is currently third on the depth chart. MJ Morris is second on the depth chart. And Brennan Armstrong is number one on the depth chart. So that was the first thing I was looking at. Secondly, how would this defense adjust to losing some of the star talent that they are losing to the NFL in the upcoming draft? That was another key point that I want to look at. Thirdly, who will step up at wide receiver? Word from camp was that nobody has really created separation to be that numero uno at wideout. So, coming into this spring game, I wanted to see, listen, is there anybody that, people may not be seeing, or somebody that is there and they're like, okay, I could possibly see them at the number one spot. So this is what I was looking for, and also what's next for the pack after the spring game. So the red team defeated the white team 41-10. First half, very interesting game. Second half, it was running clock. They kind of slowed things down a little bit. It was still a lot of points, but I just kind of had to let you guys know that. So Brennan Armstrong is the number one quarterback. Today he went 14 of 28. He only had 127 yards. Probably could have been about 50 or 60 yards added to that if it wasn't for the drop by Smith. But that's neither here nor there. He completed 50% of his passes. He also threw 2 interceptions. But even when throwing those 2 interceptions, one of them wasn't his fault. One of them, the wide receiver was supposed to break off the route. He didn't. But Armstrong, because he's a true leader, did take the blame for that. And I love seeing that from quarterbacks, never throwing their guys under the bus. So I thought that was important. MJ Morris did look good. Even though the white team started off the game real shaky. The first play of the game, they lost a few yards. The second play, it was a bobble snap. And that continued to be an ongoing theme where even if they were, the bobble snap didn't lead into a bad play, it just kept being funny stuff with the snap. So that's certainly something to look into. But the good thing is it's only spring. We still got roughly, a little over 4 months to, right the ship and get things right before the fall. So looking at this, MJ Morris, he was effective. We seen him effective on read options. And I don't know what it is. He looked a little bit faster in person than I anticipated. I always thought he had great speed, but just seeing him in person on those read options, and in spring games, it's two-hand touch on the quarterback. They're not tackling the quarterback. So the fact that he made it on one of those runs 20 plus yards down the field without being touched was pretty spectacular. I guess I'm going to address the elephant in the room now by saying that MJ Morris is a starter. If not here, somewhere. He's a starter somewhere, so I wonder if he's going to kind of stick to the script. Okay, I'll back up Brennan Armstrong. If I got to play him mop-up duty or he gets injured, I'll be ready to go, knowing that at least the next 2 seasons after that, I'll be the guy. Or do I take my talents elsewhere because I know that I can start for a team right now? I think that will be the key to see how things progress with this situation, because we'll see some players getting impatient, other players listen, I'll have my time. I'm cool. So I truly want to see how that progresses. But Brennan Armstrong, unquestioned leader of this team. He's the unquestioned quarterback one, and that's not going to change. I know some people will probably try to take the angle, but he threw 2 interceptions. One of them was a pick 6. Brennan Armstrong is the starting quarterback. We've seen the connection him and Robert and I had when they were at UVA together. 31 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. These two are going to yield results. And the beautiful thing that Brennan Armstrong was saying, in the post-game presser was that, hey, he added even more wrinkles, from being at Syracuse. He picked up some more things there. So hearing that, and how excited and how giddy he was to, learn even more plays than what he remembered from UVA. It's pretty spectacular. So Brennan Armstrong will be the starter, no doubt about that. Let's talk about defense a little bit. NC State secondary is very scrappy. They were contesting a lot of balls. They was there to make plays. There was one really bad broken play, but offense ended up dropping the pass. But other than that they make plays, and when they get interceptions, they're looking to score touchdowns. They're not that type of team that, catch it and get down. No, they're going to catch it and they're looking to score 6 points. So it was beautiful seeing that from the secondary. Wide receiver was the big buzzword coming out of camp. I definitely did a lot of research before heading into the spring game. I listened to Pack Pride. Shout out to them. They do a fantastic job. And I was able to get caught up to speed on everything that was going on in camp. And they were saying that no wide receiver really stood out during camp. So we were hoping that during the spring game we might find that. So I was definitely paying attention to quarterback position starting out the game the most. But after a few possessions, I knew that it was Brennan's job. And then I really started paying close attention to the wide receiver. So DJ Collins is the guy that I think a lot of fans and, media personnel were like looking at, okay, this guy got prototypical size. He's 6'4", he's 215. He came from Clemson. He got good speed. And I think a lot of people just wanted him to come in and be that number one. Not saying that he can't be the number one, but from what we seen from camp and then today, he really didn't get a lot of opportunities to make plays. Guys that stood out to me was Keon Lesane. That's going to be, I think, Brennan Armstrong's one of his favorite third down targets when it comes to picking up those 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6s. He just seemed to always, find a way to get into the open spot and make a play. He impressed me today. Porter Rooks impressed me last season, and he also impressed me today as well. But there is one guy that you got to do some research on, and I'm sure he's going to be a buzzword now coming out of NC State, and that is Kevin Concepcion. He goes by KC, and that's what I refer to him as for the the rest of this segment. He is good. He's really good. He's a true freshman. The one thing I notice about him, he seems to be always open. Like, even if he's not the first progression, second progression, or even the third progression, he runs his routes hard. They also had him back there fielding punt return, so it'll be interesting to see who ends up winning that spot because they didn't really do any real special teams work other than kicking. But KC is one to watch. I think he's a guy that's going to give you immediate production, even as a freshman. I'm talking about sub 30, 35 catches, maybe even get to the 40 catches as a true freshman. So the sky's the limit for him moving forward because he's just one of those players who just, like I said, he just always seems to be open. He had one catch on the sideline. Should have been just like a 7-yard catch. It was like a comeback route or a curl. Caught it, made a move, crossed the field, and got up for like 30 yards after the catch. I'm like, this kid is nice. So after seeing that play, I just started watching him. And with watching him, I'm like, this kid is really good. He's creating separation. He got great balance. Them pressing on the line didn't bother him. I'm like, yes, I know it's only spring ball, but you can kind of just see who the ones are. It can be in spring ball. It can be like we were just recently at the Reese Senior Bowl. Sometimes you can just see a player who's different. So if I think there's one receiver who at least made a name for himself or created a little separation, it's Kevin Concepcion. That's definitely a name to watch. So what's next for the Pack? Spring ball is over. They don't have any organized activities for the better part of a month or so. But the good thing that I like hearing today is that Brennan Armstrong is going to rally the troops, and they're going to do some team-led activities and team-led practices. So I thought that is important just to see that leadership ability that they're going to do that. So if you don't know, Red Team definitely won this one game. The starters won this, and it was 41-10. But we did see, I want to say MJ Morris did play for both the red and the white team. Brennan Armstrong didn't play at all in the second half. So I think Pack fans, it's time to be excited. Their week 1 game against UConn is going to be a true test, and I'm going to caution you guys, don't overlook them dudes. UConn is a damn good team, and then they got Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, coming to town week 2. CFB Nation will certainly be in attendance for that. As I always like to say, do something nice that somebody normally wouldn't do. Always pay it forward. Peace and love, peace and blessings, and until next time, one.